वेलकम टू प्रिंस शॉर्ट एंड हाउस स्टूडेंट्स। जैसा मैंने आपको पहले हर क्लास में बताता हूँ कि हमारी पिटमैन न्यू एरा से हमने कोर्स लगभग करा दिया और इसको हम बेसिक क्लास में डाल रहे हैं बिकॉज ये आपको स्पीड के लिए डिक्टेशन लिखनी बहुत ज़रूरी है। और आज जो हम डिक्टेशन देंगे एडवांस फ्रेजिंग सेक्शन 6 से हम दे रहे हैं। इसमें स्पेशल है कि ये ओमिशंस है, इसमें मोस्ट प्रोबेबल ए, द, ऑफ, टू, ऑन और आपके कुछ कॉन्सोनेंट लाइक एफ को ओमिट कर दिया किसी में। तो ये बहुत अच्छी प्रैक्टिस के लिए पेज नंबर 214 पे रहेगा पिटमैन इंस्ट्रक्शंस एंड की, जिससे मैं भी डिक्टेट कर रहा हूँ। और स्पीड वाले बच्चों के लिए बहुत अच्छी प्रैक्टिस के लिए ये रहेगा। आप इससे 100, 110, 120, 131, 41, 51, 60, 80 तक आप जाएंगे, लेकिन सही तरीके से इसकी प्रैक्टिस करके आप लिखिए। अभी हम 60 वर्ड से मिनट दे रहे हैं। थोड़ा लंबी क्लास हो सकती है, बट आपको इसको पूरा लिखना होगा, प्रैक्टिस करके लिखना होगा। तो आप लिखिए एक्सरसाइज 171। रेडी, स्टार्ट। You will be glad to hear that under the circumstances I was able to attend the lecture, and though as a rule I do not care for such meetings, I enjoyed it very much indeed. Having regard to the subject, I think there ought to have been a much larger audience, but some who ought to have known about it pleaded ignorance in justification of their absence. With regard to the lecture itself, I have pleasure in giving you a summary of the chief points. In days gone by, according to the lecturer, it appears to have been the rule rather than the exception to walk as much as possible and only to ride. It was absolutely necessary, notwithstanding the fact that longer hours were worked than now. At the present day, however, all over the world there is an ever growing tendency, on the one hand, to ignore to a great extent the value of walking, on the other hand, to travel on all occasions by vehicles of one kind of or another. Unfortunately, as the speaker truly observed, city life of today necessitates the use of rapid means of locomotion, but there is no reason why people should, as a matter of course, spend their leisurely weekend or their annual holiday scouring the countryside in a motor or rushing across great stretches of country in a train. Next, exercise number 172. Ready? Start. In consequences of the short space of time at our own disposal, and having regard to all the circumstances under which the order was given, we are at a loss to understand the reason for the delay in the delivery of the machine, which ought to have been here a week ago. We shall expect to receive it in a few days without fail. We are face to face with a difficulty which appears to have been in a great measure and to a great extent brought about by those who ought to have known better, and we shall be glad if you will look into the matter for us, notwithstanding the fact that you are so busy yourself. The enclosed statement gives you our position in reference to the difficulty, and we shall be glad to have your expression of opinion on the matter at the early date. Next exercise number 173. Ready? Start. In continuation of his address on the benefits of walking exercise, let us consider the matter for a moment, said the lecturer, and try to estimate the advantages of walking and walking tours. The roads of every country in Europe except those of Sweden, Russia, Greece, and Turkey are familiar to me. I have walked through France from north to south and nearly from east to west. I have walked through a large part of Germany and have crossed the Alps on foot by three different passages. I know the roads of Italy from the frontier to Rome. I have been across pathless Bohemia and through Hungary and the Austrian Tyrol. I can therefore speak on the subject of walking with some authority, and from first to last, my expression of opinion should be of great value. In the first place, a walking tour has great educational advantages. It teaches us the physical features of a country in such a manner as no other way can. The level of the country, the position of the towns, the flow of rivers, and the nature of the soil are made real to us. The average Englishman whose idea of a lake is Windermere, of a mountain, Snowdown, and of a river, the Thames, would open his eyes if he found himself by the side of Lake Constance, or if he crossed the Alps and Pyrenees and followed the 700 miles of the Rhine. In the second place, the wanderings of a man on foot with his eyes open and brought face to face with the peoples of other nations narrow down his prejudice. Exercise number 174. Ready? Start. Dear sirs, in reply to yours of the 11th instant, we regret to state that under the circumstances we cannot accept the mere apology on the part of your client. This conduct of your client has been a source of annoyance for a considerable time, and in spite of our requests that such conduct should cease, and notwithstanding the fact that legal proceedings have been threatened, the statements of which we complain have continued. From first to last, we have been face to face with inconvenience in consonance of your client's attitude. Under the circumstances and having regard to what has happened, an apology is out of the question. On the contrary, we shall be compelled to seek redress in the law courts in respect of your client's statements, and shall instruct our solicitors to take action forthwith unless your client is prepared to pay the amount of damages claimed. Yours truly. Next exercise number 175. Ready? Start. The lecturer said, "It appears to me that at the present time many of the changes taking place all over the world are the outcome of inviolable laws working for the progress of mankind. As a rule, man is apt to overlook the silent working of the laws of the universe, in reference to which he appears, as a matter of fact, very little concerned, or his interest lasts but for a moment when some striking incident compels his attention. Generally speaking, he takes things as a matter of course and as a necessary consequence of this attitude at the present day. The beauties of nature are a closed book to a vast majority of the inhabitants of the globe. I will consider the matter and deal with the subject as briefly as possible. In the first place, it seems to me that in relation to the authorship, there is no ground for supposing. In the third place, all the other known works of the author are of unimpeachable accuracy. Therefore, from first to last, I think the criticism are entirely out of place and I cannot understand what is the matter with the reviewer that he should make such a violent attack on the one hand upon the probity of our author and on the other upon the accuracy of these statements. Next, exercise number 176. In conclusion, the lecturer said, when first I went to Portugal, I shared all the indignation of my countrymen at the easy-going habits of the people of the peninsula, but in the short space of time it took me to reach my hotel from the landing stage. I determined never to say another word against them on the matter, for the enervating heat took all the energy out of me. In the third place, the teacher traveler runs at first hand the true character of the people among whom he finds himself, and the facts of life are impressed upon him in a way the pages of a book could never effect. In the next place and in the last place, there are the physical benefits to be derived from walking. Too much food and too little exercise is the root of most of our bodily ills, and if we would indulge more freely in walking and think less of our ease and the trouble of walking, our lives would undoubtedly be free from many of the aches and pains of which we are now so ready to complain. Next, exercise number 177. Ready? Start. For the first time in the history of the company, said the speaker, we have to report an adverse balance. In the first instance, we have had a serious strike at the works, but you will be glad to know that all disputes have been amicably settled. In the next place, we have had some very heavy law expenses with reference to our existing patents and with reference to which a statement appears in the report. In the last place, our annual turnover has not been up to expectations, though by the way it slightly exceeds the figures of last year. You will be glad to hear that our new manager has introduced several excellent reforms which will bear fruit in the near future. I would be out of a place for me in the short space of time at my disposal to try to go fully into the details of the accounts. Moreover, we accept to receive very shortly a further report from the auditors having regard to the present state of affairs and in consequence of certain criticisms we think it best under the circumstances to have an independent investigation and the auditors have been asked to give a frank expression of opinion in reference to the affairs of the company. The position is a difficult one. On the one hand, we are told that as a matter of course, the business ought to be prosperous, yet, as a matter of fact, the contrary is the case. What is the matter? We hope to hear from the auditors who are looking into the matter and who are expected to report in a few days. Stop. Thank you, students.